Now, I'm not saying this to be defensive or saying this to be a dick, but I did want to respond to this comment at the start by saying the Miami Dolphins have 12 picks in the upcoming draft, including 3 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, potentially 2 third-rounders, a 5th-rounder, that there could be 2 5th-rounders, by the way, and they have 6th and 7th round picks as well. So, did we go a little bit heavy on picking up draft picks in the last episode? Yes, but in terms of tanking, that's kind of what happens. And the Dolphins aren't even done. They're still trying to trade players like Kenyon Drake. We were in a situation where we had a lot of valuable players because we were trying to be a playoff team. And yeah, ultimately we blew it up. So is it a bit ridiculous that we have 6 first-round picks? Yes. But as mentioned in the last episode, we're not going to be making all 6 picks. That would be insanity. We would get absolutely crushed with the bonus money that we would have to dish out. Not to mention, last year we had a number 1 overall pick, and we're already paying our quarterback a shit ton of money, so it wouldn't make much sense to trade up to get another first overall pick, because again, that bonus money would absolutely crush us. So, in terms of keeping realism in this series, I gotta disagree with you that we've broken that at all. I really do. We have 2 second-round picks, 2 6th, and a 7th. We're going to be trading down with 3 of these picks most likely, or pairing these picks together to trade up or trade down, trade for whoever. Give it time. Give it time. Let it simmer. Let it play out a little bit before we cry, or not cry, but before we cry out that the realism's gone. Give it time. Give it time. I haven't traded for Patrick Mahomes or Baker Mayfield or Myles Garrett or any other top young player in the game. Give it time. That said, this season is pretty much over for us. And because of that, I don't exactly plan on going game by game and week by week unless we end up doing a little bit better. So we're just going to start simming, focusing on the draft, and hopefully we can get to the draft, or at least, even potentially through it in this episode today. That is the game plan. In terms of renegotiations, I am more than all right with bringing back Jawan Bentley if he wants to sign. I'm actually going to sign him long-term to save a little bit more money, and there we go. So Bentley should be on this team for the next couple of seasons. And John Ross is back. We'll see what he can do as we head down to MetLife to take on the Jets. Again, we will sim that game, and we win that game, funny enough, 28-16. Let's see how that went down. Despite the ridiculous amount of changes, we still walk away with a win against the team that blew us out. I mean, 41-27 is kind of a blowout for what our team was at the time. So they beat us in total offensive yards. Let's take a look here, though. Chase Dawson had a phenomenal bounce-back game. Phenomenal. 4 touchdowns and a pick. Rushing-wise, Damian Harris was okay. Receiving-wise, a couple of touchdowns across the board. A couple of sacks allowed. A rough game for Kerry Young in his first start. But defensively, Reggie Choice stepped up in a big way for us in that moment that we really needed him to, with him now being, hopefully the guy who's being groomed to be what the McCourties were, leaders in the secondary overall. So not a bad way to start off this episode because, again, we don't exactly have to tank per se. Wins don't hurt. If we make the playoffs, we're not really in any damage because we have enough first-round picks that we just take the ones that we want and trade down and get rid of the rest. James Devlin, I'm going to wait to see if he regresses. And Ryan Izzo, I don't know if I'm bringing back yet. Same with Duke Dawson. We're going to hold off on re-signings until the end of the season. We have an upgrade point. It's Clinton Tuck, who improves, make him better as a run stopper, gets him up to a 76, and he has an X factor. Just notice that. Clinton Tuck, the 21-year-old superstar X factor. Let's fucking go. What is it? It is an unstoppable force. So, yeah, glad we ended up with who we did, considering there was, quite a few elite-level talents. Now, quarterback-wise, is it also an X factor? It is not. So Dawson's only star development, but that's okay. There's a chance he could go X factor. If anything, I'd say he is likely to. And then again, having a superstar, X factor DT is a pretty damn good sign. Big fan of that. So scouting-wise, I forget. I thought we had a running back scout. Of course, quarterback-wise, we don't really need anybody. I mean, a strong backup would be fine, but we're not going to waste a draft pick on that. We were indeed on running backs, and I shouldn't have looked at him, actually. B- from there. It's just a waste. We were on wideouts. That's what we were on. Cool. Let's look. Let's see what we got. I am scouting every single guy who is projected to be drafted. You cannot stop me. We'll see what happens from there. So we head to Week 10. Another divisional matchup as we take on the Miami Dolphins. The 5-3 Dolphins. We have 2 upgrade points. Kerry Young, despite a rough game, does improve. He's up to a 76. Good stuff. Awareness and pass block finesse. And Casey Armstrong, just a depth linebacker that we signed, is up to a 60. So overall not bad for the 21-year-old rookie. Normal dev pattern for him. Scouting-wise, we go back to wideouts, and we'll see what we have. Again, if we're able to pick up a really good wideout, perhaps we do have to trade Cooper before we end up being overly competitive again. That could certainly be the case. Time will tell, though, I would say. Let's look at you. Oh, Ellis Adkins, you tremendous disappointment. We'll see what happens here. I mean, if we win this game, we're right back in the mix. But we're still not going to jump into it until we know for sure. We do lose 20-14. We also pick up an injury. It is Carl Lawson, out for 6 weeks with a ruptured disc. His season is just about over. He won't play in any meaningful games, I would assume. A ton of upgrade points out of that, though. Chase Dawson up into the 80s. Very, very good. Sack, mid-throw accuracy, and throw under pressure. J.C. Jackson improves now that he's our #1 corner. He's up to a 78. Red gloves and all. God, I hate how that glitch is still in where they don't disappear. Clinton Tuck improves again, which is phenomenal. He's up to a 77. Still can't get him to be a scheme fit, but he is developing at a ridiculous rate. And Reggie Choice. We'll keep him better as a hybrid. He goes up to a 75 that way. Good stuff. Can start development for the 22-year-old. Froholt improves. He's up to a 63. His luxurious hair. Very happy to see that. And Oscar Houston, who was another depth signing, is up to a 62. Good improvement, though, across the board. Well balanced. Well balanced. Scouting-wise, let's see if we can finish looking at the wide receiver core here. That would be great. And yeah, it's a decent core. I mean, Jaquan Spears, there's no way he's going to stay until the 3rd round. The AI, again, is just a little bit too smart this year with knowing that, okay, this guy's a steal, that there's just no way that happens. But overall, there are some decent talents. We are going to look at tight ends. I'm not against, potentially picking up a tight end and moving out Hooper. Just go younger. It's not not the worst strategy in the world. Is there a tight end scout? There is Moose Bakuti. Bakuti? Moose. Goddamn name is Moose. What else do you want me to say? Does Hedrick have any more improvement points? Not enough to do what we want to do. I'm not worried about improving Will Lutz. So, still 78 overall. Defense is still looking okay despite the injury to Lawson. So that's pretty good. Let's see what we have for high-end tight ends. Oh my God. Say hi to the next Gronk from the looks of it. And from there, it drops off a bit. Oh my God. Yeah, say hi to the next Gronk. Zach Lindsley, 22-year-old. Go Gamecocks. That is ridiculous. He's going to be an absolute monster. Funny thing is, Thomas O'Neill's not that bad either. Kirby Booker could also be okay. So we take on the 2-7 Bucks at home. A win could see us back into the playoff mix. A loss would be devastating. We do end up picking up the 17-7 win, and that sets up a home game against the top of the division right now, the Buffalo Bills. And good old Yodney going to be up to a 66. A little bit concerned that some of our depth linemen who shouldn't be playing are improving. Rod Johnson. What a name. Roderick Johnson. Good old Rod John. He improves as well. And Nate Crocker at safety is up to a 62. Very, very good. +3 awareness again for just another depth option that we had. Cheap and affordable. We'll take a look. Who else do we have at tight end here, if anybody? I normally wouldn't scout these guys, but screw it. I just want to see. Shouldn't have wanted to see. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Okay, so we still have to scout out the O-line potentially. You have the D-line and linebackers. So O-line, obviously, improvements sooner rather than later would be nice. I mean, we made those moves in the last episode. Still going to see if Isaiah Wynn will improve at all, but Joe Tooney's got, a little bit of time left. We don't know how much. Shaq Mason's also 28. Defensive line, I mean, Derek Barnett can suffice. Carl Lawson's not too bad. And we do have the problem solved. Clinton Tuck is the man. I mean, right now we're running a 3-4, so Lawrence isn't playing a ton. I mean, we could even look at moving him over. Linebacker-wise, with Abukum, Miles Jack, we do need better options than Bentley or Landon Roberts on the outside. I'm still going to say, though, prioritizing the O-line is probably the best way for us to go right now. Although that does depend on whether or not there's an O-line scout available. If not, we'll go elsewhere. So is there an O-line scout? There is not. So we'll be focusing on the defense. Kevin Brooks, we'll go linebackers, and then we'll see if we can find any O-linemen. But yeah, no O-line scouts. Hurts quite a bit. But we should still be able to survive. So let's see what we have here. We'll start taking a look at defensive ends. Could be a decent amount of depth, depending. So let's see what happens. The 7-3 Bills against the 5-5 Patriots. Again, we're still going to sim this unless we get down to the wire and we are overly competitive. The only way that's going to happen is if we win this game here. So let's see how she goes. And we lose by a field goal, 38-35. So we're down to 5-6. Had we kept the team together, maybe it would have worked out. But we do blow it up, and perhaps that was the right decision because now we're stocked up for this offseason. Sony Michel is back, finally. Thank God. As we do have improvements here. Miles Jack up to an 86 overall. Very, very good. The superstar 25-year-old Chase Winovich is up to a 72. Be pretty sweet if EA bumped up his, I think he starts at normal. He's turned into a star. I mean, you could argue he should maybe be a star by default. There are some players on the Patriots defense thus far this year. Winovich, I feel like, could have a higher potential than someone like Adam Butler. The defensive tackle is very underrated by EA, but that is what it is. So we will play the Titans. Before that, let's scout out even more information on these defensive ends. And we'll see what we have. And what we have is a whole lot of disappointments. What about on the right-hand side? Holy high-end talent. That's what we have. That's what we have. Some good high-end talent. Kerry Bernard and Brian Goddard out of Maryland. Those two could be something special. Let's see what we can do here against the 2-9 Titans. Sony Michel is back. And we pick up a big win, 31-12 in that game. So back up to 500, 6-6 on the year. Samson Ibukum up to an 84 overall. He's a captain for us at this point. +3 tackling for the 26-year-old. 6th rated left outside linebacker. in the league right now. N'Keal Harry also improves, making just better as a physical option. He goes up to an 84 overall, +3 mid route, +3 short route, +2 release. Very, very good. Obviously, he and Dawson hope to have fruitful careers. So, back to defensive ends, and I think I'm not even going to look at the lower end guys. I want to see how good these top two are. Good God. He should be a linebacker with, pursuit being that good. I mean, he really should be a linebacker if those are his top 3 stats. My God. My God. I'm almost more impressed by the B+ in power moves. That's still fairly ridiculous, though. Certainly nothing to scoff at, nothing to look past. But someone like Hewitt and Lee, these guys are pretty well-rounded. Bernard's a real interesting one, though. And then for defensive tackles, I'm still not against scouting out defensive tackles. Not at all. I'm not afraid to move somebody over if that's the right way to go. And it might very well be. I mean, we already talked about that, too, with the 2 DTs that we have. So we're playing the 8-4 Bills. They're in a dogfight right now with the Dolphins to be at the top of the division. In terms of the wild card, I mean, so the Browns are already in. The Ravens are at 7-5. I mean, we'd have to keep pace with the Bills or the Dolphins to make it at 8-4. So they're battling for the division. One of them is likely to end up as the wild card, unless over the last 4 weeks we make a strong push. We lose to Buffalo, we're definitely done. So let's see what happens. Another chance against the Bills, and we get absolutely destroyed. So there you go. We'd have to win our final 3 games and have either Miami or Buffalo completely slip up. So our playoff hopes are officially done for this season off the back of that pretty frustrating loss. I mean, we're better than losing 40-7. Or maybe we're not. Maybe we're not. Regardless, I'm not too concerned. We chalked up the rest of this season as a potential L. So be it. The good thing is, obviously, the higher the draft picks we have, the more we get back if we trade down. Good gourd. Malik Thomas. Wow, he's actually the real deal, too. The A- finesse moves, good pursuit, good hit power. Good stuff overall. We play the 9-4 Panthers. A loss here definitely seals the deal in terms of us not being a playoff team. And it's a tie, 28 all. We do have a weekly award winner. It's Dawson as the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. 4 touchdown passes in a tie. Go figure. And we do pick up an injury as well. It is Dexter Lawrence out for the rest of the season with a 3-week injury. As we'll be heading down to Atlanta, but not before Trent Taylor gets an upgrade point up to a 78 overall. Good stuff, although obviously his season was cut short due to injury. And Teez Tabor up to a 69 overall at this stage this year. So, let's see what we got here as we look to finish up this season and finish up the defensive line scouting before changing it over to linebackers. Let's see what we have. Giovanni Florence is great. Duncan Griffith could be great. Yeah, there's some good D-line talent this year. That is for sure. So, if we wanted to carve out the rest of the D-line, this would be the draft to do it in, apparently. Let's go see if we can find a linebacker scout before we sim this game against Atlanta. Kevin Brooks, I think it was. What's your name, Kevin? It was! Hey, Kevin, I learned your name before shit-canning you almost immediately. Max Francis, welcome aboard. Get me some good info on these linebackers, if you would. We'll see what we're dealing with from there. Brock Allen, going to be very intrigued to scout him out. And from the looks of it, there could already be some ridiculous players. And Rashawn Barrow out of the U could be at the top of that list. Let's sim this game. We take on the Falcons, who are probably trying to keep their playoff hopes alive, and they will not do so. 41-21 win, 7-7-1 record heading into Week 17 as we head down to Jacksonville. Holy upgrade points. And it's for a lot of crucial young players. James Landry makes it up to an 82 overall. Star development at 22 years old. For the second-year pro, Chase Dawson makes it to an 81 overall, playing like an 82. So it does suck that we took a step back and that we won't make the playoffs this year. But, I mean, he's 21. He's already an 80. It's looking great. Isaiah Wynn gets that rare upgrade point. We're going to make him better as an agile type just to see him up to a 79 overall. So still a very useful player to us. He might not be an 80, but he doesn't have to be. Clinton Tuck, trying to make him better as a run stopper again. There we go. So now we get him as a scheme fit, which is a very good sign. Still a 77. Can't believe he's an X Factor. John Ross up to a 77. Yes. Yes, indeed. Good amount of points, too. I mean, I don't think the acceleration and agility needed to go up. Route running and outright catching would have been the better thing to see there. Kerry Young up to a 77, so he's benefited quite well from the play time this year. Duke Dawson up to a 71. Again, could still be a decent depth option for us if we elect to keep him. Nick Bentley up to a 65. That player face looks like someone. I just can't figure out who. And then Trey McGraw getting another depth signing. Big fan of the goatee. He's up to a 59 overall. So, again, very good upgrade point totals there for us. And scouting-wise, we go back to the linebackers. Let's see what we have. So we'll, let's take a look. Well, Joe O'Neill, you ended up being pretty disappointing. Don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. My God, Barrow. Yes, he's a monster. He is a monster, as is Camille Loud, which is, again, just a great name. Now, Brock Allen is projected at the top of this draft. Rightfully so. Absolute monster. Block, shedding, and tackle, pursuit. Brock Allen out of Washington State is the real deal. And again, did I check the weekly awards for this past week? I did. That's right, it was Dawson, the tie game. Or not the tie game, the win against Atlanta. Actually, yeah, Dawson back-to-back. So we are going to miss out on the playoffs. The Bills will obviously take a wild card spot. The Ravens at 8-7, looking good. And the Raiders at 8-7 as well. Technically, I think we could still make it because the tie rather than the loss, but we'd have to win against the Jags. It would be pretty ridiculous to still see us make the playoffs. Carl Lawson's back in the lineup, so a win here wouldn't be all that surprising against the 6-9 Jags. We do win, but ultimately we do not make the playoffs. So a 21-7 win to end the year. We do finish the year at 8-7-1, which isn't horrific. And, had we kept the team together, there's a good chance we would have made the playoffs. I think we would have won 1 or 2 extra games more than we did. So the argument can be made, is it better now to have just barely missed out on the playoffs after, tanking our team, knowing that we're going to have another strong offseason? Is it better long-term for that to have happened? Probably. I mean, barely making the playoffs this year, maybe we win, maybe we don't, versus, okay, we still almost made it, and now we're stocked to the teeth when it comes to, assets heading into this offseason. I think it was probably the better way to go. The Browns and the Ravens make it out of the north. The Texans make it out of the south. Out of the east, Dolphins and Bills. And out of the west, the Chiefs. From the north, the Bears make it. The Panthers and Saints are both in. The Cowboys are in from the east. And the Seahawks and Rams from the west. The Titans were the worst team in the league. The Bucks were there. The Chargers, Jags, Giants. So we're going to have some decent draft picks. That's what I'm sensing. We're going to have some very good draft picks. Staff-wise, we do have to re-sign our trainer. We'll look at some stats in a moment. Let's just throw Dan Winters some money. Hopefully he accepts. Let's see what these upgrade points are. Yes, Clinton Tuck is going to be unreal. Say hello to the next Vince Wilfork, as Clinton Tuck is up to a 79 overall at the end of his first season. Again, 22-year-old superstar X Factor. He's already the 24th DT in the league. He's going to be an absolute monster, man. Shaq Mason improves despite his age. He's up to an 89. Great number, of course. A very nice number. But again, 29 years old. I'll be intrigued to see when he starts regressing. Justin Evans is up to a 79. Very, very good. Obviously a useful player to us. And then Reggie Choice, who I have high hopes for in the future. He is up to a 76. So good stuff there. Good improvements for the 23-year-old. So taking a look at the stats for this year. We'll look at the awards once, I mean, it's basically finalized now, but we'll look at the awards afterwards. I mean, defensive yards, it's just our defense was terrible. It was pretty bad to begin with, and then afterwards, you know, after we made the trades, it was that much worse. So points allowed, only 14th, but we allowed a ton of yards, and we were 17th in offensive yards. As far as individual stats are concerned, Dawson, almost 4,400 yards, 36 touchdowns, 16 picks. I've seen worse rookie years, that's for sure. Dakota Chase also completed a pass. Rushing-wise, Damian Harris, 5 touchdowns, 559 yards. Sonny Michel, only 95 carry attempts, had 3 touchdowns. Dawson with a rushing touchdown. Amari Cooper, 75 receptions, over 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Harry and Hooper, both over 700 yards as well. Trent Taylor with 7 touchdowns on just 46 receptions. Blocking-wise, Isaiah Wynn struggled again. Maybe we do look to move on from him. But again, the issue is in terms of young O-linemen. I mean, again, we're not going to be drafting any O-linemen this year. We have Mason and Tooney, but then also having to replace Wynn, that's tough. You know, having to replace potentially 3 linemen in the same year span. It could be easier said than done. Miles Jack, very much involved. J.C. Jackson, Reggie Choice, all very busy this year. Barnett, 16 tackles for loss. Also had 11 sacks, 10.5 for Abukum, 9.5 for Clinton Tuck. Pick-wise, 3 for Evans and 3 for Reggie Choice. Will Lutz, only 12 of 16. Not ideal. Not ideal in the slightest. And we'll look around the league, see what we're dealing with. Baker led the way in terms of yardage. But touchdown-wise, it was Baker as well, actually, 42 and 7. Josh Allen was up there, and then Chase Dawson tied for 3rd alongside Matt Ryan with 36. Rushing-wise, total yardage, it was Zeke, no real surprise. Total touchdowns, also Zeke at 18. Receiving-wise, in terms of receptions, Corey Davis and T.Y. Hilton led the way. In terms of yardage, it was Emmanuel Sanders. And in terms of touchdowns, Albert Wilson with 16. Jesus. Blocking-wise, we had the worst O-lineman in the league this year. Imagine being worse than Cliff Wiener. That is something Isaiah Wynn can say. Miles Jack led the league in tackles. Tackles for loss, it was Quinnen Williams. For sacks, it was Justin Houston with 17. The interception leader, Bradley Roby. And kicking-wise, Randy Bullock and Aldrich Rosas made the most field goals, 21 each. So that brings the season to a close, at least for us. We will continue our scouting, of course, and we shall move on. So Winters is back. We'll, of course, recap what happens in the playoffs. For now, though, well, actually here, let's look now, rather than knowing for sure who's going to be in the Super Bowl. So in the wild card round, the Ravens beat the Dolphins, the Saints crushed the Panthers, Kansas City over Buffalo, and the Bears over the Rams. You then had the Browns absolutely crush the Ravens, the Saints sneak past Dallas, Kansas City beats Houston, and the Seahawks beat the Bears. So it's Chiefs, Browns, Saints, and Seahawks. Place your bets now. Who is going to make the Super Bowl? I'm going to say Browns and Saints in the year 2 Super Bowl, and I was wrong on both fronts. Chiefs and Seahawks in the Super Bowl this year. Super Bowl 56. Goddamn. So, again, place your bets, but Russell Wilson against Patrick Mahomes. Scouting-wise, let's see what we have. Oh, we got a new linebacker, Ricky Sparks, out of nowhere. Not too bad. Middle linebackers, we will continue to take a look. Even the 7th rounders, I still want to look at just in case there's somebody decent like Cedric Upshaw. Decent in that, he could be a decent role option. Probably nothing overly special. I shouldn't have used that point there, but that's okay. So who's gonna win it? I'm gonna say the Seahawks. Although the magic of Patrick Mahomes will probably lead the way, and it doesn't. Seahawks win it, 30-27. Not bad, not bad. Russell Wilson, the Seahawks, win another one, and that brings us. I forgot to look at the awards, didn't I? I did. I was going to, and I didn't. Let's take a look at the awards really quickly. And then we'll worry about the rest of ye old off-season. Josh Allen was league MVP. Coach of the Year, Freddie Kitchens. Okay, that's after what just happened last night. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Offensive Player of the Year, Josh Allen. Defensive Player of the Year, Donald Payne. Josh Lentz was Rookie of the Year. That's upsetting. Defensive Rookie of the Year was Vincent Haynes. I mean, Choice and Tuck were both up there. Top quarterback, though, was Baker, somehow, because that's just how this game works. You got Bell, Albert Wilson, Joe Bitonio, Justin Houston, Samson Abukum, top linebacker. Eric Berry, the top defensive back. Harrison Butker, the top kicker. And just to quickly scroll through the top options in the NFC. There we go. Not too shabby. So in terms of re-signings, again, we're probably going to play this pretty conservatively. Landon Roberts dropped. He was a little bit higher rated than that. We're going to let him go. Perrine, he's going to go. Sherfield's out. Ward's out. Most of these guys are going to be dropped. It's going to be a lot of the guys like Winemius, a lot of the guys that we ended up signing just to fill the roles, like Kent Hull at the beginning of the year. Bentley, just the guys, the younger rookies that we could sign to fill up roster spots, and of course the guys that we ultimately signed once we blew the team up. So every single one of you, even though some of you might be able to break out, you're all going to go. James Devlin dropped again. He's down to a 70. He's still useful, though. I'm probably going to look to bring him back just because, man, it's James Devlin. And I love James Devlin, so if he'll sign that, he's back. Cool. James Devlin's back. I think I'm going to let go of Izzo and Dawson. Neither of them are looking for that much, but I want to see what options are out there. So we'll bring back James Devlin. Everybody else is going to be dropped. And that way we have plenty of options heading into free agency. Now, the shocking thing is that we still have $21 million in cap room, given the draft picks that we have. And to confirm where they are, see, technically we have 48. So that's how much money is being set aside, factoring in the bonuses and the salary that these players would be paid based off the draft picks that we currently have. That's why I said we might be a little bit handcuffed in free agency. That's ultimately the case. Now, in terms of the picks that we have, 3, 9, 13, 19, 28, and 29. So, like I said, at best, we'll probably make 3 of these picks. So we're looking pretty damn good. And, of course, if we really saw someone that we liked in free agency, we could make moves to free up that little bit of extra space. So quarterback-wise, we don't need anybody. And Dawson, already up to superstar. Told you there was no way he was staying at star and would probably go up to X Factor. Obviously, we don't need anybody here. I mean, I'm not going to pay Kirk Cousins a lot of money to be a decent backup. We can deal with this. Mason Rudolph, Tyrod Taylor, I don't care. Daniel Jones, who didn't develop. Like, how much is Daniel Jones looking for to be a backup? Yeah, I'm not having an $8 million cap hit, so we'll worry about that down the road. Running back wise, again, it would be great to have a more reliable running back as a secondary option. I mean, and shit, Rashad Penny is actually pretty damn cheap. All things considered, he's actually pretty damn cheap. Got James White at $4 million. I mean, we can keep Damian Harris, who wasn't that bad, or we bring in Penny. As more of an elusive back. We'll see. There are there are options there. You know, we bring in Penny as a 1-2 punch with Sony Michel, probably move Damian Harris just to make the most of his value. It's not the worst option in the world. Fullback-wise, we made the right choice to keep James Devlin, unless Reyna has a good dev pattern, which he does not. Jeff Horn might, though. He doesn't. Teams are just in for him. So cool. Fullback-wise, we're fine. Although, let me check James Berry. Yeah, he's not that good. Wideout-wise, Cooper Kupp is available. I mean, he would be an improvement on Taylor for sure. The issue is he's 29. You know, next season he could drop 3 overall points or more. I'm not really wanting to risk that because he's gonna be expensive. Because there's no way. I mean, put it this way: I could give him a freaking 7-year deal if I wanted to lower the price as much as possible, and then deal him before that deal's up. But I don't know. I don't mind doing that. It is a little bit cheap, I suppose, but whatever. Still, just like I said, if we sign Cup, we get 1, maybe 2 seasons out of him and then move on. It's an option, but it's not a great one. Michael Gallup's there as well. I don't really think we need to do much. I mean, again, Gallup would be a 4th option. Or, in fairness, he'd be the 3rd option with Trent Taylor as the slot option. So, in fairness, Michael Gallup wouldn't be the worst option. Again, it's not an extreme necessity. It's just another option that we have that we could potentially explore. So we keep that in mind. Tight end wise, we're fine. I mean, Dallas Goedert, he's 27, but in terms of the 1-2 punch, I think we're fine. We're good enough with Jake Butt. It's fine by me. The O-line, there's not going to be anybody because these guys obviously, except for Will Hernandez, who ended up being a free agent. Again, these guys are just so stupidly expensive. Although we could compete with Hernandez. God, he's going to get paid a lot, though. And if we were to do that, we'd already have to commit to moving Tooney or Shaq Mason, and we're pretty much committed to having them for the next year. Marquise Pouncey's 33. Yeah, there's going to be no help there. Schwartz is 33 as well. On the D-line, nobody better than Barnett, who's up to superstar. Damon Harrison's there, but he's 33. Jerron Reed is there, but, I mean, we have Lawrence and we have Tuck, so I'm not sweating it. Right end, Brandon Graham's 34. So defensive line-wise, we're looking pretty good. When it comes to the linebackers, bringing in Von Miller, who the Lions have thrown a low offer to, would be interesting. He's expensive as shit, though, which is why the Lions are trying to lowball him. God, his head looks like it's been squished between a press. Anyway, 7-year deal, to lower down the price, and then how much would that be? Just for example, that'd be an 88-point offer. Like, there's a way I could try to get Von Miller on a fairly cheap deal in comparison. It's really not even worth it, though. It wouldn't be to replace a Bukum. It would be for the right outside linebacker spot, which Nwosu, I believe it is, would be a decent option, actually. 25 and an 81. No help at middle linebacker there. And on the oh shit, Leighton Vander Esch is there. As is Fred Warner, but Leighton Vander Esch, dude. Dallas couldn't hold him. So here's the thing. Running back wise, yeah, we could bring in Penny if we wanted to. We could try to bring in Michael Gallup if we wanted to. Nwosu's a decent option. I know bringing in Miles Jack and Leighton Vander Esch is kind of taking advantage of the AI being terrible GMs, but would that be interesting? Even Warner, if we couldn't get Nwosu, even Warner would be a decent option. Then at corner, Harris is a little bit too old. Sherman's a bit too old. Could bring in Josh Jackson to work next to J.C. Jackson. Levi Wallace, Logan Ryan, Xavier Rhodes, Jonathan Jones. So there are options there. At safety, oh my God. Bring in Justin Reed and move Evans. It's one hell of an option. There are some very, very interesting options here. I gotta be honest. There are some very interesting options. I gotta be honest here with you too. I wouldn't mind bringing in J.K. Scott as a better punter. So if we were to offer J.K. Scott that deal in here, let me lower that a bit. There we go. Just to check, if we were to offer Justin Reed a deal, he's 25, so I'm cool with giving him a little bit more term. That'd be a 98-point offer right there. I mean, it's still going to be pretty cheap. It's still going to be pretty cheap. If I bumped it up to 6 years, it still keeps it at a 98-point offer. Okay, so we'll drop that back down to 5, but still bump up the money a little bit more. That's a 100-point offer. So could I offer Justin Reed and Leighton Vander Esch contracts? And the answer is no. So it would have to be one or the other between those two, or we go for the slightly cheaper options, right? And we look to bring in a Josh Jackson. We look to bring in a Warner or an Owosu. And then if we wanted to, we could still bring in Rashad Penny or Michael Gallup when it comes to the money that we have available to us. And again, actually here, if I were to, I don't want to remove the offer for Scott, but here, you know what, if I do, it bumps it back up to 21, just to check, just to be thorough. What if we, actually here, what if, I mean, even if we bump it into signing bonus, I mean, the cap hit still factors in. What's that looking like? That's a 100-point offer there. And then Vander Esch, if we were to try this, make it a 5-year deal, that's a 60-point offer. Yeah, so it would have to be one or the other. So let me know what you think. We'll leave it there and go through the rest of the offseason. In the next one, do we go for Justin Reed and or Leighton Vander Esch? And I say and because if we wanted to, we could preemptively move the number 3 overall pick, but that would be a big risk because we'd have to, test our luck to go for both of these guys. We can afford both if we move that draft pick. We have options. And you got to figure, if we move that draft pick, maybe another one as well, we could fill a role and a hole on the team that we'd be able to fill otherwise by moving that pick. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Let me know what you think, how we should play this offseason, who we should target. Where again, I mean, safety-wise and linebacker-wise, we really do need both of them. But the 3 and the 9 could easily be moved preemptively. We'd still have the 13, 19, 28, and 29th. And, we'd be able to trade back up if we wanted to. A couple of different ways we could play this, and I'll leave it up to you guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. You know the deal. Drop a like, sub if you haven't, all the fun stuff. I'll see you in the next one. The year 2 draft and the rest of the offseason.